How's it going, everybody? Football Rob here. I just watched the Minnesota Vikings drop their fourth game in a row at Washington. And I gotta say, this team is getting more and more difficult to watch as the weeks progress. There are so many things wrong with this team, I don't even know where to begin. I thought when I relocated from New York and I was no longer forced to watch Jet football on Sundays, I thought it would be a relief, but it seems like this team is just as bad. So many things to start off with. I don't even know. Forget the notes. Whatever. I don't even need the notes. First thing I'm gonna say, Blair Walsh just sucks. Okay? It's not even an if or a maybe. It's not debatable. It's not like this person would agree with me, but this one doesn't. It's like 2 plus 2 is 4, the sky is blue, and Blair Walsh sucks. He should not pass go, should not collect $200. He should go directly to jail for stealing money from the Vikings, pretending like he knows how to kick a football. This was, this was his fourth missed extra point of the season in this game. It didn't have an impact on the final score. Vikings would have lost anyway, but if you can't even kick extra points on a regular basis, what are you doing on the field? Just go for 2 every time. Get rid of this guy. That's number one. Let's say I'll put another thing out there. Sam Bradford. Let's talk about him. I know the offensive line is struggling. They've had about 500 guys go on IR, and they also, towards the end of this game, Jake Long was carted off the field, so that's like 501 offensive linemen that they've lost this season. But it doesn't excuse the fact that Sam Bradford, at points in the game, critical points in the game, will hold on to the football for too long and take unnecessary sacks. On that final drive, there was that situation rearing its ugly head again. He had about 4 or 5 seconds to get rid of the ball. Even if somebody's not open, you can't take a sack and have the clock run down like he did. And that kind of basically was the nail in the coffin. And then the final sack on 4th down, that was the last play by Preston Smith. I just think that, when it comes to Bradford, he doesn't process information quickly enough in the pocket. And furthermore, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I'm just a fan. You could say I'm an armchair quarterback, But hear me out. If you're a quarterback, you need to have pocket presence. You need to get rid of the football. You need to keep your eyes downfield. If there is a rusher coming on, you have to climb the pocket, elude somebody. You're not going to have a perfect little cocoon on every single passing play. You have to sometimes evade somebody. Not to say necessarily, dart out and, for 50 yards like Cam Newton or something like that. But within that pocket of chaos, you have to move around, readjust your feet, keep your eyes downfield, and fire the football. He cannot do that. He just cannot do that. If everything is rosy and perfect like it was in college in Oklahoma and he has 11 seconds to throw the football, yeah, then he could sling it with the best of them. But if he has to do something or climb in the pocket or move to the left, move to the right, readjust his line of sight, locate a third receiver, and then pop the ball downfield, he cannot do that. And that's the difference between the good ones and the great ones. And he's clearly lacking in that area. And that is a reason why he takes unnecessary sacks, in my opinion. So, offensive line, let's talk about that with the Vikings. Offensive line in shambles. This is what surprises me about the offensive line. Now, if you lose a lot of talent, which is what they've had to deal with, They've lost Khalil, they've lost Andre Smith, they've lost some guys. When you lose talent, of course I think your pass protection is going to be bad. When you have second and third stringers facing first stringers, it's obvious that sometimes the edge rushers will get home and tackle the quarterback. But run blocking seems to be a huge problem for this team, and that's inexcusable because at a certain point it comes down to just who friggin' wants it more. And it doesn't look like the Vikings offensive line as a whole wants to push opponents and create a new line of scrimmage. It seems like the opponents, whoever it is, if it's the Lions or if in this case it's the Redskins defenders, didn't really matter who it was, if it was Preston Smith, if it was Kerrigan, if it was somebody else. They created, the front seven of the Redskins would create a new line of scrimmage, which would happen to be the Minnesota Vikings backfield. So it didn't matter if it was McKinnon, Asiata, Hillman, I don't care. Those running backs would face a brick wall, run right into it, and it was a tackle for a loss. There were several plays where it was a tackle for loss, and I was just really dumbfounded at how these professional offensive linemen, they just don't have the guts that's needed to run block. And that's why they're 30th in the NFL. They came into the game 2.7 yards a rush. And, other people would say, oh, yeah, it's because Adrian Peterson's not there. But I think even if he was there, where's he going to run? There's no holes in there. There's no push. There's third and inches and they can't get an inch. Or, second and short and they get stuffed and it's third and 3. It sets up a losing situation. So that's something that I don't know what the answer is, but I see that it's a pattern with this team, and that's why they're losing 4 in a row. And then the last thing I'd say, defensively, the Redskins coming into this game did not have Deshaun Jackson on offense. They did not have Trent Williams, their Pro Bowl left tackle. Moses, their starting right tackle, was injured during the game. So this was a golden opportunity for the Vikings' vaunted defense. They're supposedly a vaunted defense, right? So you would think if they have this kind of wounded animal coming into the game, they would attack. They would get sacks. They would force turnovers. They would win the battle of field position. They didn't do anything. Kirk Cousins had all day to throw in the entire game and picked them apart. And it didn't seem to me that the Vikings defense made enough plays to win this game. They weren't helped out by their offense because the Vikings offense, they scored 20 points in the second quarter and they didn't score anything else for the rest of the game. But I don't think the defense held up to their lofty expectations. They did not play well and they did not take advantage of this opportunity that they had in front of them, and that's why they find themselves at 5-4. So, I don't even know what else to say about this team. I think that this is a sinking ship. I think it's going to get worse, and we'll see if they could turn it around. But based on what I'm seeing, I really don't think much of this team. I think they're a 500 team at best. Maybe they can't even get there. Maybe they finish 7-9. But whatever the case is, team's no good. Well, that's all I got to say about this. Keep it tuned in here for more football coverage. This is your host, Football Rob, signing off.